What movie did you start watching then said fuck this, I'm not finishing this? Every pornographic movie I ever started. I was interested, really interested. Then suddenly I lost all interest. About 75% of the movies that I start watching on Netflix, especially the ones that have multiple big name actors, but you've never heard of the movie. I envy people who have the ability to walk away from bad movies. I just gotta finish even when they itches. Same. I gotta know what happened to these terrible characters that I don't care about. Mean Girls 2. I went to a Mean Girls bar trivia night once. At one point the host asked a question and everyone in the crowd stared at each other, confused that the question referenced characters we didn't even know. The host clarified this question comes from Mean Girls to the entire bar booed incredibly loudly. 50 Shades of Grey. I was out as soon as she walked into Christian's office and tripped over nothing. Course, you know, she's just so quirky and clumsy. I read the books, and honestly Anna is just an insufferable person. So whinny and lame. And the movies made her even more flat and lame. It's like they tried to just fast forward to all the sex parts with next to no plot. Not that they had much to start with, but I suppose I'm a masochist to chisty romance novels. I read all of them including the rewrite of the first book from Christian's point of view. They're incredibly chisty. 14/10 do not recommend. The Emoji Movie. It was almost a parody of every CGI kids movie. My son is autistic and gets super fixated on random things for periods of time. Ripping paper, compare directions, weather, power lines, etc. He watched the Emoji Movie on Netflix one day and became obsessed with drawing emojis. I had to watch this pile of garbage movie every day for like 3 months. Thank goodness he moved on eventually, lol. I was hoping for a feel-good goofy movie and saw Downsizing while browsing Hulu. After reading the description, I it'd be something like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and went for it. It was nothing like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. In fact it's 2 bad movies combined in a single script. Years back, I used to love the no-effort parody movies like Epic Movie, Scary Movie, Superhero Movie, Meet the Spartans etc. Until I watched Scary Movie 5. When 5 came out, I couldn't see it immediately at the time, so I forgot about it and rented it years later. When watching it, I realized none of the jokes were funny because they all relied on referencing and parodying the horror movies of that time which were no longer relevant. It was a slog, and I turned it off and returned it halfway through. Out of all of these I still maintain that Scary Movie 3 is funny, but that is largely down to Leslie Nielsen. Last year's Cats. I lasted 30 minutes and then I immediately left the theater. Human faces on roaches creeped me the hell out, as did whatever else I saw in that time frame. I saw Cats in a packed theater and we all were laughing and making fun of the film. It was one of the best movie-going experiences I've had. The Robin Hood movie from a year or so back. The bad guys have machine gun crossbows. It's fucking bizarre. Edit. So this comment got a bit more attention than I was expecting. For anyone that hasn't seen it and is curious, the first scene has Robin Hood in the Crusades where the Crusaders wear modern gear and flak jackets, and they hard around a bombed out city clearing houses with longbows half drawn at the shoulder, like they're spec ops dudes, but they get pinned down by an automatic ballista that's basically a machine gun nest, but it's okay, because they fire a flare arrow over it which calls in an airstrike from some nearby trebuchets. I didn't hate this as much as some of the people replying, but the whole thing was so goofy and stupid that I couldn't be bothered finishing it. The Robin Hood movie from a year or so back. I thought you were mistaken, because I was thinking wait, didn't that Ridley Scott film come out like 10 years ago? Completely forgot about the Taron Egerton film and I watched that all the way through. Zombosaurus. I love B movies that are amusingly bad. Ghost Shark is a particular favorite, but Zombosaurus, bought for 2 from my local Asda, was so bad I couldn't finish it. Deleted. The Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly movie Holmes and Watson. In the screening I went to, thanks, Dad, I watched a whole group of 14-year-old boys hightail it out of there in the first 20 minutes. When the least discerning movie audience of all time up and leave so soon, you know it'll be amazingly bad. Dragon Ball Evolution, a Serbian film. It is awesome how bad Dragon Ball Evolution was, that nobody says anything about Serbian film as long it is next to it. Going Overboard, Adam Sandler's first movie. It's amazing how it didn't end his career before it started. I only know the cover art, and it's amazing. Hearts and Armor. Corrected. I have absolutely no excuse other than I paid $1 in the Blockbuster bin for it and needed to win the worst movie contest with a bunch of friends on Fantasy Movie Friday. I won. I still win with it. I still haven't watched all of it. Note to anyone who attempts to watch it: whenever the blonde heaves her bosoms, tosses her hair, and yells "let me fight him," I'll fight him. Take a drink and you'll be dead before the end of the film, so you'll be out of your misery anyway. FYI, you don't know bad cinema until the bad guys have the evil henchman in a sword and sorcery flick is wear a spangly rooster costume fight chicken style alongside the guy in a sequin top hat surrounded by knives and boaty on top of an ape suit. Yup, folks, it's that bad. And I own it on VHS. Hearts and Armor. Now I quite like this one, but there's no getting around the fact that it's a very strange piece of film. It's like somebody watched Excalibur and said we need to do this, but with more of the weird mystical chiz. Cats. Just don't waste your time. It's time you'll never get back. And you can be wasting your time on something more wasteful than watching that movie. We watched Why Is Cats the other night on YouTube, and if you're looking for a deep dive on how that hot mess got made, it's well worth your time. The Mummy 3. I love the Mummy series and Brendan Fraser is awesome, but my god, that was a hot pile of chiz and the only movie I ever walked out of in a theater. I noped out as soon as I saw that they replaced Evie like it was no big thing. She had been my favorite character. This is the sort of public service announcement we need when we are quarantined. I'm about 10 years behind on my movie watching, so this has saved me hours and hours of misery. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I forgot we were talking about movies and got irrationally angry for a few seconds. My partner and I have a holiday house in rural Hungary. It's a quiet village, few street lights, next to no traffic. 1 January, it's my turn to fly out there for the weekend to check it's okay. I arrive and there's a foot of snow, but the house is all fine. Good. I put on the fire and settle in for the night. There's nothing much on the satellite TV and I'm not in the mood to listen to music, so I riffle through the DVDs to see what I might watch. I find 28 days later, it turns out that watching a zombie film in front of a flickering fire in a dark village on your own with nothing stirring outside in the depths of winter is not that brilliant an idea. I lasted 30 minutes. That film just outright ducks me up every time. At least the first 2/3 of it. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Huge fan of the books, but couldn't make it half an hour into the movie. Literally walked out of the theater. After watching it, I just consoled myself watching the emails Rick Riordan sent to the movie's director, in which he politely rips the script a new one and proclaims, among other things, this script not only doesn't work as an adaptation, but as a movie in its own right, and predicts fans will leave the theater in droves. What a guy. The most recent Underworld movie. It was a lot more soap opera and general incoherence than anything beyond saving. I feel the same way about the Underworld movies as I do the Resident Evil series. I know by and large they are pretty garbage films, but I will watch any film in either series and unquestionably enjoy the chiz out it. I'm kinda person who can totally appreciate a form over function film. 50 Shades of Grey. OMG yay. And there was such a hype about it. It was one of the worst things I have ever seen. Like a platform for bad and awkward acting. Jiggly. I thought it might be comically bad, but no, it's just the moldy cardboard of movies. Made it through about 35 minutes before I realized that I was actively thinking about other things and tuning it out. So I turned it off. When that movie came out, I remember there was a big billboard for Roger Rabbit where he was slumped over his desk with his head in his hands looking near death. The caption was, "I saw Jiggly, so you don't have to." Marriage Story. Why would I want to watch parents fight for 2 hours? Might as well just eat with my family for dinner. I practically lived that movie right down to the bullying by the lawyer, so it hit a little too close to home. I turned it off about halfway through. I want some element of escapism in my entertainment. A Wrinkle in Time. Trash. I really was looking forward to a wit. I had a rough time as a 5th grader in the 1980s, and it was the book that saved my soul as a kid. I saw myself as Meg. I read and reread it until I was an adult. So I was truly excited to see this movie with my BF and his kids. After I left the theater, I was mad for weeks every time I thought of it. I didn't mind how it was cast, but the writers skipped over chapters of the book, practically made Oprah the star of the thing, and totally made everything up from whole cloth after Meghan Cal escaped Camazots. It wasn't even the Cliff Notes version. It was like the kindergartner version after they saw the trailer once and tried to make the ending deep when they didn't earn it. Trash indeed. Eragon the movie. Nuff said. It was actually that film that introduced me to the books. I watched it, thought it was okay, found out there were books and bought them. About a year later I decided to rewatch it because I had fond memories. Wow, it was bad. I only got about halfway in before I quit. Death Note Netflix adaptation. I've never watched this and never will. Death Note did not need to be turned into a live action movie. Edit. I forgot about the Japanese movies. I haven't seen those either, though they've got to be better than the Netflix disaster. Death Note didn't deserve to get mangled like that. Zoolander 2. Yeah, I actually did finish it, but it was spectacularly bad. Inside. It's a Spanish slasher film about this woman who wants to steal a pregnant widow's fetus. I've watched so many Gorefest movies to boot, and for some reason this one just totally took it to the next level for me, and I couldn't handle it. I actually got quite close to the end and I just couldn't finish it. Edit. It's French, not Spanish. Thanks to those who pointed this out. Close bracket. I find that some of the horror that I find most unsettling has strong roots in terrible things that happen in real life. It just brings it closer to home for me that this scenario is something that actually happens from time to time. The stalking in the film. Fetal abductors sometimes go so far as to *actively befriend the pregnant person. Just imagine seeing someone you thought was a close friend coming at you with the intent to cut you open and steal your child. X-Men, Dark Phoenix. I couldn't get past the 10-minute mark. Oh duck, that movie came out. The Mummy, the Tom Cruise train wreck. The old school one with Brendan Fraser is awesome. The Mummy with Tom Cruise is based on the original Universal monster movie and not a rehash of the Brendan Fraser movie. But you're right. For a studio trying to revive a property that really could take off again, and I was stoked for, they made a pile of crap. Into the Looking Glass. I'm normally a huge fan of Tim Burton's work, but I have legitimately sat down snacks, full intent on watching it, 3 times now, and I just can't get into it. Edit. I know he didn't direct this one, but we all know, whenever he's involved his style gets very heavily incorporated. If you are talking about Alice Through the Looking Glass, it's directed by James Bobin, only the first Alice was directed by Burton. The newest Hellboy movie. I didn't last 5 minutes. You never last 5 minutes. Edit. Wow, my most upvoted is about someone lasting 5 minutes. LMAO. Should have turned off Invisible Man, but my BF was enjoying it. I literally spent 75% of that movie thinking nope, nope, nope. Is it over yet? Surely this is the end. Oh god, it's not. Duck. On repeat. It wasn't even the fact that he was invisible, just everyone not believing the woman over and over. Nope. It's been 14 years since I broke up with my controlling gaslighting ex. Clearly not long enough to watch this movie, and my ex wasn't ever physically violent. -10 tenths. Hated it. My girlfriend had a similar reaction. I get how that movie can be upsetting for someone who has been in an abusive relationship physically or emotionally. Noah with Russell Crowe. Gave it about 10 minutes, then me and the Miss looked at each other. Maybe it'll get better. That maybe is doing a lot of work. We gave up when the twisted rock creatures just casually arrive and nobody bats an eyelid or even explains them. It might get better, but I'm 40-ish, so only have a few decades left, and don't want to risk wasting the hours required to watch this again. To me this is one of those WTF movies that just swings for the fences. When he needs wood for the ark, and overnight a forest grows. I mean, if I lived in a world where God was that discernible, of course I would believe. Fallen angels that look like rock lords. I was along for the ride from then on. I kind of like the steampunkish industrial world that Noah was escaping from. But then, just after the middle mark, Ray Winston's Cain gives a monologue speech just before they attack the ark. It's beautiful and really gives it to God in a thoughtful way. You kill, you made me in your image, but I'm damned if I kill. It's one of those scenes that just ties a movie together. A weird one, and definitely not a masterpiece, but I would say I liked it for what it was. Deleted. I was a kid when I saw that movie and I fully believe that she actually got bit by a shark just for the movie. Sausage Party. I remember the script leaked on WikiLeaks of all places, way before it came out. Tumblr memed the orgy scene and everyone was shocked to find it was real. The Paean of the Christ, and I remember the exact moment. Spoilers? In one of the first scenes, where Jesus is being tortured by the Romans, Roman 1 reveals his cat o' nine tails with barbed hooks. He slams it against a wooden table and pulls it back to a shower of splinters. He then proceeds to send chunks of Jesus back everywhere. I thought to myself, just kill him already. And then I found myself wondering, was that the point of all this gore porn? To drive home that the only end to pain and suffering was through the death of Christ? Just as I was about to give Mel Gibson grudging respect for maybe almost making a point, Roman 1 flips Jesus over and starts all over again on Jesus' front. Nope, I thought to myself, Mel was enjoying himself too much when he made this. My girlfriend at the time noped out hard, and I definitely wasn't going to refuse. The worst thing was leaving and seeing the children that these church people brought to see this movie that was rated R solely for violence, their eyes either buried in their seats or dilated to the size of dinner plates, and blaming themselves for what they were seeing on screen. Duck that movie. Happy Easter? I don't know if a spoiler warning is necessary for that particular story anymore. It might be even more common knowledge than the Darth Vader is Luke's father twist. I just wish the My List and Continue Watching sections actually appeared consistently. They go AWOL all the time, lost in the myriad weirdly specific genres Netflix has decided to make up that day. Duck, I get so mad when I go in and can't find the Continue Watching category. WTF Netflix? Bird Box. What a horrible movie. I made it pretty far, but realized like 45 minutes in that I had no way to empathize with the main character. I hated her, the way she treated the kids, and I hated the way every other character behaved. I turned it off. I hated how they never figured out to use a cane like every caricature of a blind person includes a cane. Why didn't they think to use a cane instead? Zombie walking everywhere. About 60% of the movies that I start watching on Amazon Prime. Not gonna lie, I love the amount of 1/10 or 2/10 movies on Amazon. I've pretty much watched all the bad sci-fi movies on there. Human Centipede. Duck that film. I lasted about 40 minutes before I noped the duck out. This is the movie that you'll never get to convince me to watch. It's literal torture to watch it. Aquaman. The drum-playing octopus was the final straw. Am I the only one in the thread that enjoyed the movie? The remake of Aladdin with Will Smith. I couldn't get past the scene where he helps Jasmine escape the guards. Total and utter chise. And the original is one of my favorite films. When I watched Toy Story 3 for the first time when I was about 7, there was a part where this monkey thing that screamed into the camera. That thing haunted me for months. It's obviously okay now, but at the time I immediately stopped the movie and never watched it again. I swear I was about to call butchers that you could have been 7 when this movie came out. Then I looked it up. That cannot have actually been 10 years ago. Duck's sake, I feel old, and I don't even hit 25 for another couple of months. My mom recorded Tyler Perry's A Madea family funeral the other day because that's just how bored she is. She doesn't even like Madia. I sat through the first 5 minutes before I couldn't take any more. A while later she finished it and told me, "Yep, Madia still sucks. I'm black and I'm here to tell you Madia sucks. The stage plays are so much better. But the problem is the originals were shot on a potato. But I'm tired of seeing black pain porn in his films. He should give it up." Suicide Squad. I think I got about 30 minutes in, and I just couldn't anymore. I just couldn't. Twice as revolting. BC the trailer made me believe it would be good. Fate of the Furious, when the cars started being remote controlled and falling off of buildings due to hacking, that's when I checked out of that movie. If you're watching the Fast and Furious movies for the realistic plot, you're watching them wrong lol. The second Fantastic Beasts movie. Got maybe 10 minutes in. I finished it because I felt like I had to because it is set in the HP universe, but I became angrier and angrier as the movie progressed, and by the end, I'm pretty sure I was shouting at my screen. I can't understand how they managed to mess up that royally. Just, wow. Jurassic Shark. Got a Shark Movies DVD box as a joke birthday gift from my BF. Made her watch it all with me. Got through all of them, but Jurassic Shark was next level bad. Fun evening though. Edit. BF equals best friend. Sorry for the confusion guys. English is confusing. From my BF. Made her watch it all with me. Not relevant but this confuses me haha. Funny I never do that, but yesterday evening I decided to try replicas on Amazon Prime. It had Keanu Reeves in it so it can't be bad, right? Here is the first 20 minutes or so that will explain why on earth I had to change my habit of always finishing a movie and shut down this one. So I started watching this best neurosurgeon on earth trying to extract human mind and put it in a robot, only to fail miserably several times. Last try the robot achieved speaking, and in matter of seconds, became insane and started to tear its face apart and destroy itself. So he takes his wife and 3 kids in vacation. Night/rain/thunder during the trip. Wife dies when a tree explodes her chest, so the car falls in a pond and everyone drowns except our best man Keanu. So what does he do? He calls his best buddy Kyle Walker to come and bring their mind scanning device without questioning. Kyle Walker obliges. They scan the brains of the whole dead family and bring the bodies at the lab where Kyle Walker is asked to get rid of the bodies, which he does cause has a great friend. They then go to Keena's house and best friend Kyle Walker happens to be top-notch cloning engineer. What a luck! Exclamation mark. And bring some pods so Keanu can clone his family and put back their memories inside the new bodies and no one will ever notice. Time to remember this is something that he has always failed to do in artificial bodies, but in cloned ones? Nope, neither. You thought it can't be worse? Hold my beer. Best friend only has 3 pods, while Keena's family is a wife and 3 kids so there is 4 people to bring back, and it takes 17 days to finish a clone. What could they do? Keanu, who is I repeat one of the smartest guy on earth, decides to put the names of his kids in a jar and pick one that won't be brought back. Just like that. Best friend asks him how he will deal with that? Question mark? The family and relatives/friends neighbors/school teachers/you name it will notice. And Keanu shows his full genius by explaining he will edit his family's scanned memories so no one remembers the dead kid as it never existed. And at this time, I said no and turned that off. I'm speechless. Tusk. That movie was creepy and wish I didn't see it especially at 2 AM. The second or third Insidious. I really like horror movies, and those ones are just so trash. Every trope in the book, although I concede the plot in the first one was somewhat original. Was it the first Insidious where they moved house as soon as they realized it was haunted? I remember thinking that was actually going against all tropes cause they never just leave haunted houses in horror movies despite the fact most people in real life would do that immediately. Bruno, I started watching it because I liked Borat and a friend said Bruno was funny. I don't think I even made it 5 minutes in before I turned it off. I have never felt compelled to watch the rest of it. If you find penises amusing, it's a good film. I was a teenager when I first watched it, so of course it was hilarious, but one awkward bit sticks in my mind of a close-up of a sklang just swinging around on the screen for way too long. Downsizing. That movie was just horrible. I feel like they wanted to explore an interesting concept, so they wrote a script around that in a big hurry to make it work. It would have been better served as like a mockumentary. Then they suddenly decide at the end that it's a love story. The new Charlie's Angels. Made it about 10 minutes. I looked at the poster and said, why the hell would they make another of these? The Hustle with Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. I actually argued aloud with myself whilst turning it on because I fecking hate Rebel Wilson with a paean. But I love Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and thought it might be worth a watch. I lasted 3 minutes. Rebel Wilson is a very bad actress. I feel like Rebel Wilson's bubble might burst soon. I think she's well liked because she seems like a likable person in real life, but sooner or later people are going to realize she's a bit of a one-trick pony. Wreck-It Ralph 2. Sorry, Ralph breaks the internet. Total disappointment. Might come back to it, but unless the third act makes up for everything, I doubt it. And it was such a missed opportunity to call it Ralph *WRECKS* the internet. Battlefield Earth. Unwatchable, not even ironically funny. Edit. Honestly, some scenes, in isolation on YouTube, are really hilarious. Travolta's "I was being trained to conquer galaxies" line read is so bad in the movie has a lot of moments like this. But to sit down and watch this thing from beginning to end, woo, I'd rather be doing my taxes. Cats. Tried watching it high as a kite and duck. That's a bad movie. I don't think I made it 20 minutes. For me it was Midsommar. Not because it was bad, but because the opening scene absolutely wrecked me. It was so real, and I felt so bad for the girl that I just couldn't continue. Just get a load of that dude's other film Hereditary. It at least waits until the final 20 minutes to duck your life up. Into the Woods. I might go back to it at some point because I love Emily Blunt and Anna Kendrick, but I think I probably have to be in a certain kind of mood to watch it. Edit. I didn't get past the first song. I was just like, you know what, this is really long, let's see what else is on Disney Plus. Apostrophe. Movie. Bad musical. Good. Tiffany Haddish's Netflix special. I really tried. I wanted to like it. It was corny as duck. Solid 15 to 20 minutes in, and was like, duck it. I'll just watch some more of The Office. Taylor Tomlinson and Fortune Feimster are two women with actual great specials on Netflix. M. Night Shyamalan adding Dong's The Last Airbender. I don't know what you're talking about. No such movie exists. There is no war in Basing SE. Unfriended. Once I realized the whole thing was gonna be on a screen, I headed out of the theater. Watching it at home a year later, I managed to get through it. Works well through PC, laptop or tablet screen as that's the medium it represents. Hereditary. The head polka scene was enough for me. Not that it was bad, just stuck with my head a bit. It gives me such a bad feeling when I think about that movie. The scene with the head was just so terrible. Than the mother going outside the next morning and everything seems normal, but you are watching her head towards making the most appalling discovery. That movie was messed up. When I was about 10 years old in the movie theater with my dad watching the first Nemo movie, I was so scared of the sharks I ran out crying and refused to go back in and watch it. The Hungry Games or something like that. So awful. Edit. The parody. I think it's called The Starving Games or something like that, yeah. The Dark Tower. Shudder, one of the best book series I've read, turned into an absolute monstrosity of an action movie that had little to no relation to the books outside of character names. F***k***k***s***t. One of the best books I've ever read. Easy top 5. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. Unquestionably. The Ducker reveals plot points in the opening crawl that aren't revealed until literally 2,000 pages into the goddamn books. Oh my. You watched until the end? That's fucking awesome, dude. Thanks for watching.